Hi Fam Bam, welcome back to our Freedom series. Today we're going to talk about how to become smart. So before we get into this, I just want to say first and foremost, I will say that I think that I'm a smart person. Intelligent, maybe not all the time, but I think smart is defined based on its actual definition, which is, quote, having quick-witted intelligence. Now the cool thing is you don't have to naturally be born smart. Call it my opinion or whatnot, but I think that it's important to know this, and as a parent, it's really important for us to appreciate our children for their efforts and for taking the time to try, rather than just calling them smart and trying to fulfill whatever societal role we impose on that word smart. But really what I want to share with you is that I think I'm smart, but I don't think I always was necessarily. And I think it's something that can be exercised and learned and improved in our life. And there is certain ways that I have gained quick-witted intelligence that I would like to share with you today. So if you like these topics, let me know by hitting thumbs up, and also share questions and comments below, as well as subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more ways to level up your reality. So why does being smart level up our reality? Well, if you have quick-witted intelligence, then you typically are aware of more, have information to make better decisions, and for the most part, people tend to like you as long as you're not snarky about how smart you are. And there are 10 ways that I want to share with you today on how to increase or become more smart than you probably already are. And I hope this just adds value. And yes, I'm kind of making fun of the term smart because I think there's a lot of insinuations or implications that go beyond that. But really what I'm trying to do is help you improve your quick-witted intelligence. And so number one tip on my list is to read a lot, to become fond of reading and increasing your awareness or database here in your mind of things that you know or information that you can carry around in your brain like a little encyclopedia. I would say that reading is probably the number one activity that has taught me the most in life. Even in school, we're required to read a lot. So as a youngster, I really loved reading and I really loved learning new information. And I think it's also important to realize that what you read isn't necessarily all true, but as you continue to gather and collect information, your awareness expands and you begin to be able to decide for yourself how you want to perceive and view things as truths for yourself. The second tip on my list is to fall in love with learning. Whether you're reading, learning from a class, researching things online, talking to other people, or just learning from your own experience, falling in love with learning and taking the time to observe and hold that information as awareness, observation, or as like, hey, if I throw the ball off this cliff, it's gonna fall down. I mean, that's very simple. But just taking the time to learn from anything and everything makes you more quick-witted intelligent. And number three, this is something that I really took on recently that has helped so much. Don't avoid the hard stuff. So do you ever get into a conversation where somebody is telling you something and they throw in a word or some sort of implication of understanding and you don't really get what they're talking about? So in the recent years, I told myself I am never ever going to just nod and be like, uh-huh, and just not know. Or if somebody's like, do you know what I'm saying? And I don't know what they're saying, I'm never not going to clarify anymore. So I've started to take the time to say, no, I don't really get it, or if somebody's talking and they use a word, what does that word mean? And I just ask these questions to clarify so that I can really understand. And sometimes I am slow. I mean, in the beginning, I was very slow about certain topics, be it politics or be it like chemistry, and people would talk about certain concepts that I was not familiar with. And I would say, if you don't mind, I would really love to understand what you're saying, and I'm having a really hard time because I'm not familiar with this topic. What is X, Y, and Z? How do they relate to one another? And then after you let me know, can you rephrase what it is that you said so I can understand fully? What's interesting is most people actually are more than happy to take the time to explain to you so that you can understand. People like being understood and they like sharing their knowledge. It feels intrinsically good. And I think that's part of our survival of the species, trying to pass on knowledge to a brother or a tribes member. It's actually something that helps make us more connective. So taking the time to ask doesn't make you look stupid. It actually makes you seem more likable, even though you're unaware of the topic. And bonus number 2, you actually get to learn and understand. If you continue to do this, regardless of what topic you're approaching, it becomes easier. You become more keen, you become more aware, and it just isn't so difficult as when you first start approaching things this way. The next tip that I have on my list is to challenge your mind daily. So whether you're exercising, using brain programs like Luminosity, or you're trying to memorize stuff, like I think taking the time to memorize is really important. So if you're doing, say, Greatest Salesman in the World, or you're reading Daily Stoics and you try to memorize actual verses, it's really a great way to exercise your brain. Also, problem-solving puzzles. I do like Candy Crush, but not just for the way of swiping, because you can like use Candy Crush to just swipe mindlessly and it doesn't actually challenge your brain. But if you look at it like a puzzle, like I try to hold myself to how many moves do I have and how can I solve this and make sure that I do it in one shot. Then it becomes a problem solver. My kids really love the game Monument. We love strategic games like Hive, chess, checkers, even Mancala is more simple. The kids can get it, but if you involve strategy in it, it really forces you to think. And obviously learning something new every single day. And I like learning things new. Like here I have these 30 seconds book series from Barnes & Nobles. We got 30 seconds physics, 30 seconds psychology, 30 seconds astronomy, and 30 seconds like so many things, anatomy, that you can take the time to just stop and read a chapter and try to learn something new about it, like really how it works. Number 5 is to open your mind and be a good listener. When people talk, even if they talk about things that are more shallow, you actually learn a lot. Whether you're learning something that challenges you or not, you can learn about perspectives. You learn about certain things or happenings that goes on. Like sometimes I don't mean to eavesdrop, but I catch something and that fills in a blank, like where this person is or what's happening in this space or like what's going on, and the awareness then increases. So realize that you can learn from anyone or any situation, regardless if you think it's compatible to your smartness or not. The next tip that I have is to realize that you never truly know anything. We cap our ability to learn when we think we know it all. We actually close ourselves from gaining more intellect, of gaining more wisdom and knowledge, of actually increasing our smart, toolkit up here. And I mean, I'm using the term smart, but really just expanding our level of awareness. There's really no cap, I believe, to learning and becoming aware in life. Like we have this idea that we only use like 10 to 15% of our brains. Scientists argue that that's not true, that we're actually using 100% of our brains at any given time because it all serves a function. But I think that when people say that we only use 10 to 15% of our brain, what they mean is our potential capacity for intellect and for actually utilizing what the functions are intended for. And so with that being said, I really think that it would be really hard to exceed that gap, given that it's true, but it's worth a shot. And so far I haven't felt capped or limited by a certain amount. Like there's no storage space or there's only so much that you can retain and learn. The next tip on my list is to surround yourself with intelligence or smartness, whether it's smart people or intelligent content. I like to be the lowest on the totem pole. That means I like all my friends to be above me, or at least in my judgment, in some level of intellect, emotional maturity and resilience, success in business, or happiness in life. I like surrounding myself with people who have leveled up their reality on a level that is higher than mine, or at least in how I perceive it. And when you surround yourself with people who are better than you, you actually get to grow more. There's this saying that says the weakest team member is the one who grows the most, who accelerates the quickest, because they have so far to catch up in order to stay on the team. And this works too in your own social circles and groups. So if you exercise number 3, which is never skipping the hard stuff and actually asking and talking to people who are more intelligent than you, you actually learn so much. Number 8 on my tip list is don't get sucked into stupid drama. We have such limited time. If there's anything that is limited, it's our time. It's our energy on any given moment or any given daily basis. And getting sucked into stupid drama, like whatever BuzzFeed or TMZ wants to talk about, like the news, I think a lot of times can be stupid drama. Sometimes I breeze through there to just understand what people are talking about, but I don't get sucked into the actual drama of it. Dramas that don't serve, dramas that reduce your intellect, and you always hear like, that was so stupid, I feel like I lost 5 IQ points. And the reason being is because when you get sucked into that, you utilize your resources towards something that is unproductive and that doesn't add value. It actually doesn't level up your life. And if you start to create a sort of meaning or importance around that drama, then you lose sight of what is truly important, of the things that are actually going to serve you. So it's just like actually not worth it at all to get sucked in. And a lot of times people talk their drama at you, and that's a time that I try to exercise like what a smart person would do or say. A smart person might be quiet and listen and try to see what they can learn from it. A smart person might say, well, you know, I empathize with that, and if you're looking for a solution, here's what I would do, and kind of teach what you know, because you learn twice what you teach, etc. You know, you take it for a positive twist as best as you can. The next thing on my tip list is to always be curious, always. And I know it just it drives people around me nuts, but I always got to know. Like, I don't like hearing something and not understanding why. Like when I research cortisol levels help you regulate your blood sugar. I want to know why. How does it work? What goes on in the body that regulates the blood sugar? How does it function? What about insulin? How did this play a role? I thought cortisol was a fight or flight, like stress hormone. How does it store fat? Like, I want to understand everything full circle, and I want to understand not just the direct correlation, but the relationship it has with all the things that are surrounded in the scenario. So it seems like a wormhole to jump into, or like a rabbit hole, and it kind of is on any subject. But when you get that curious, that's when you really begin to learn. And what's funny is the average person doesn't take the time to just ask those simple questions. Why? And to even just understand directly how that correlation works. They take information that's fed to them and just believe it, or like, well, science says that makes sense, or like I experience it, but not really understanding why. That when you take the time to take that extra step and understand, most people just don't even question you. Not to say that that's right or wrong, but like, you already seem so much smarter than most people that because they don't take the time to do that, that you don't really have to worry about like knowing everything or getting it all right. You just do it for yourself. Do it for your own awareness and knowledge, and take it as far as you want to go. Because like we said, it's a rabbit hole. It can go forever and ever. Whether you're studying anatomy, or you're studying space, or you're studying diet and nutrition, or health, or how to be happy, you can go on forever. So life is a constant study. And I have number 10 on my list as ask questions often. I think, you know, we covered that notion on like never skip the hard stuff, to ask questions, and to like always be curious, ask questions. But I think like being curious, it's easy to like be a good listener and be curious, but to actually take the time to take the action to ask the questions is how you get the answers to your questions resolved. And that's ultimately what gives you more quick-witted intelligence, by increasing that awareness, increasing what it is that you know, or because we never really know anything, what you're aware of, or the information you've gained. And ultimately it makes you smarter, at least in terms of the definition. And people do tend to view you as smart, or smarter. And regardless of what other people think, that doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, if you want to feel more intelligent, more aware, and understand concepts and understandings of life more thoroughly, these are my 10 tips of how to become smart. So I hope you guys liked this video. I want to thank you so much for being here, and I hope it added tremendous value to you. I was like so excited about this topic because I love learning and I love improving myself so that I can improve my current reality, and I hope that this helps improve yours. I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao.